Leaders of Brics have made an agreement for expansion. On Wednesday, South Africa said the group of developing countries had agreed to a mechanism for new members, paving the way for dozens of nations to sign up. That could help lend clout to the group, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, as it seeks to create a viable counterweight to the West. More than 40 countries have expressed interest in joining Brics, say South African officials. 22 have formally asked to be admitted. They represent a disparate pool of potential candidates from Iran to Argentina. Enlarging the group was top of the agenda at a summit of Brics leaders in South Africa. Earlier in the day, Chinese President Xi Jinping called for an accelerated process.
Do you think that this whole thing is a bubble, that it's all overstated? I was talking to a CEO last week who said, you know what? We've been playing with OpenAI, we've been playing with the new Microsoft products and all of the, a bunch of things out there. Day-to-day use case, still limited.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a bubble, and two things can be true. There can be a tremendous tailwind ahead of us with AI, which I do strongly believe. And then at the same time, the value capture can be quite limited. And so if you look historically, we've been through now 1.5 enterprise planning cycles since ChatGPT launched back at the end of 2022. There have been probably, Andrew, a million or so AI products that have launched in this time period over these past few quarters. And still today, in August of 2023, the only AI products that are really production grade, generating meaningful revenue, tremendous usage, are OpenAI's ChatGPT 3 and GitHub's Copilot. And both of Microsoft has, of course, their relationship in both of those. And so I think we are still at a stage where the hype is way ahead of the sort of revenue capture, revenue generation. And I do continue to believe that the majority of the value here is going to be captured by the big tech incumbents. You have the top 10 enterprise SaaS companies with $100 billion in free cash flow. You have consumer products companies with the top 10 with something like 50 billion in free cash flow. We're going to see a lot of M&A activity. We're going to see lots of mandates with big tech to integrate AI. But for the everyday investor coming in, I do think we are very firmly in bubble territory here.
So in terms, though, of investing, you think that the bigger opportunities are not going to be the small private companies, but the big SaaS companies, the big enterprises? And if that's the case, are they undervalued today?
Arguably they might be. I do think that this is the type of enabling technology that makes the big guys get bigger, and that raises a whole host of regulatory questions down the line. But you are seeing the companies which are moving quickly to leverage AI get a lot of productivity gains. Given the capital-intensive nature of this sort of space, given the need for these chips, given how expensive these GPUs are, the big guys with cash on the balance sheet, I think, are going to capture a lot of the value. There is no question that AI is going to radically transform how we work, how we live over 10, 20 years to come for me. But I think the sector is definitely overheated today.
Jeff, real quick, though, is this an issue, though, of capturing more value or defending value? Which is to say, are these big companies going to be demonstrably adding serious revenue and profits as a function of this, or are they effectively going to be defending the turf that they already own?
Well, it might be some combination of both. I think the specific thing that's going to happen is lots of jobs are going to go away. Lots of jobs at these big companies are going to go away. AI more generally is going to destroy lots of jobs over the next few years, and it's new job categories will be created, but entire categories of jobs are just going to go away, and presumably that does make these companies somewhat more profitable over time when you have less people working there.
Narrow leadership, at least in recent days, in the mega cap tech world, is that really an area to avoid right now?
I think it is, only because of this. Listen, I've proven I'm not a great trader, Leslie, so I'm not going to come on TV and pretend to say that I am. What I do know is that the top 10 stocks currently represent over 32% of the S&P 500. That exceeds anywhere it was last in November of 21 in the dot-com boom, and the most since 73, 74. So we're in a position where they've become too big a part of the market. I don't think, for me, I wouldn't advise an individual or an institution to put 32% of their money invested in domestic equities into 10 stocks, because that gives you too much concentration risk. So that's really where it comes more from common sense than any kind of great strategist call.
You can't put people in to manhandle the guy that's trying to steal the stuff out of the store. You just don't have that flexibility. And you don't have the ability to call the police and get them there to do something about it, because we're not charging crimes for under $1,000 in a lot of places right now as far as the theft goes. So we need a technological solution, and I'm sure people are working on it, and RFID is probably one of those, because if we could track every good and then we were willing to go to the marketplace and say, if you sell this, you're going to be in big trouble, and we can track it back to where it was stolen, and you're going to have to authenticate it. But boy, that would be a complicated system to get in place, and it would be an expensive system, and it would also be hard to do.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the cash app and by joining the Patreon.
And guys, this is definitely one of those videos to make you think. And we had NVIDIA come with big numbers, and of course the stock pops. But remember guys, there's 10 stocks that are receiving all the benefit from this AI, this tech revolution. It's not like back in the day where we saw small companies start up first, and then eventually the big companies went and bought the small companies because they were doing all this technology. The reason why is because these big corporations already had this technology. We know they already had AI and all these algorithms. But we have NVIDIA's market cap over $1 trillion. And the only way this company is worth over $1 trillion is that if they're pricing in the fourth industrial revolution. And why is that, guys? Because we know in the fourth industrial revolution, you don't need employees. Productivity is going through the roof. And we see these tech companies with hundreds of employees instead of hundreds of thousands. And how many times have you called Netflix that your service wasn't working? Not too many. And guys, we know we're in a fragmented world. In order to bring in the fourth industrial revolution, they have to break up this system. And you heard it correct on CNBC. A lot of places are not charging you if you steal less than $1,000. Guys, they'll make up anything on this TV in order to get us moved over to this digital transformation. Because what's the solution? Tech. Every solution we look at right now that they're breaking up, they're trying to bring in a technology fix. You can't make this stuff up. And now, guys, it's time to get back into the office. And you guys know I'm not going to say what I want to say. I'm going to be doing a Patreon video in regards to that. But how quickly things have changed, and we all of a sudden see something else is popping up. And we have the Brics ready to accelerate membership. And of course, CNBC plays the Hegelian dialectic. But remember, guys, the United States leaders and China leaders are working together to get us moved over to the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. Get that free money airdrop to their wallet, but little do they know, they're going to be told what, where, and when and how to buy, because this money is going to be programmable. And they have 3 to 6 months to spend it, or poof, it's gone. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Goldman Sachs reportedly ramping up efforts to get employees back to the office 5 days a week. Bloomberg saying that senior managers there bristling at the reluctance of some workers to return with its 5-day-week push. Goldman is an outlier among the big companies that have embraced a hybrid model to a greater extent, but some workers still balking. In one example, CNBC has learned some Amazon employees are quitting rather than follow company orders to report to a central hub location to be with the rest of their teams. Joining us now on all of this is Jason Greer, founder and president of Greer Consulting. Good morning to Jason. We've all been trying to figure out what the future of work is supposed to be. This is this sort of question mark has gone on longer than I actually thought it would. Are we all heading back to a 5-day-a-week week, or do you think this is a 4-day-a-week week, a 3-day? What's happening here?
It's time to face reality. We're getting back to a 5-day week because that's the reality. That's what we saw before COVID, and that's what we're currently seeing. Companies are coming from the perspective of this. It's no different than Goldman. It's no different than Disney. If I pay you every 2 weeks to come into the office, you come into the office. And if you don't like it, take your ball and go somewhere else, because there are thousands of employees looking to get your position.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard for us to think about what Xi really wants. The financial markets for Xi are means to his end. And he's very much a madman like Putin is. He has an ideological goal to, quote, reacquire the Taiwanese separatists. The laws that he's putting in place, like the counter foreign sanctions law and the new counter-espionage law, and he's raiding companies like Bain Capital or Bain and the Minsk Group and Capvision. He's making the work environment for Westerners in China impossible. And I think that's what Raimondo is going to talk to them about. I think, amongst other things, maybe she'll even talk about the Chinese hacking of her official government email account, or maybe she won't. But, you know, things just continue to deteriorate. And this decoupling is more Xi's doing than it is the West's doing, right? Xi's been his worst enemy.
I've seen sort of China apologists say, yeah, maybe Taiwan by 2050 gets reacquired. You have a shorter time frame. You actually said maybe next year.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, if you really listen to Xi Jinping's speeches, forget about reading the press and what they get out of these speeches. Read what he says. Quite literally, since 2017, he's told you that his life's mission is the reunification of China and Taiwan, and that his life would have been an abject failure if he doesn't achieve that mission. Well, you know, whether it happens 2023, 2024, or 5 or 7, it's not 2050. She's 70 years old. So it is going to happen sooner rather than later. The China apologists, you know, remind me of, you know, the Halifaxes and the Chamberlains of the UK going into World War II. You know, Hitler had invaded the Rhineland and had taken Holland and Belgium, and, you know, you still had people wanting to sit down with Hitler and talk. I'm sure the China apologists and the think tanks that receive money from corporate interests that do business in China will be saying that up until the very end. I think it's important to take a very objective view of what he's saying and then look at what he's doing onshore. And I think the writing is on the Great Wall. It's all there.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, you know, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, you know, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe This technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.